They're super embarrassed because everyone found out how low they sunk to hurt you. The devil whispers lies in the dark, but the truth screams in broad daylight. They thought their schemes were airtight, their deception too deep to be uncovered. They laughed while they twisted the knife in your back, convinced they'd never be caught. But now, the same lies they used to trap you have become their own prison. The mask they wore so confidently has cracked wide open, and beneath it, nothing but desperation, regret, and the humiliation of being fully exposed. They wanted you to break, to beg, to crumble under their betrayal, but instead, they're the ones living in paranoia, checking over their shoulders, drowning in their own shame. Their sins didn't just catch up to them. They crashed down like an avalanche, burying them alive in their own dirt. They mocked your pain, thinking they had won, but the same people they whispered their lies to, they're whispering about them now. And no matter how hard they try to spin the narrative, the truth is out, and they can't do a damn thing about it. Before we go deeper into how karma is serving them a full-course meal of their own destruction, make sure to like and subscribe. When you react to this, you aren't just supporting this message, you're sending a signal to YouTube, to the algorithm, and even to the universe itself that the chosen ones are rising and finding each other. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you've ever seen the truth rip someone's fake world apart. Now, let's get into it. They never expected you to survive. They built their entire game around your downfall. They wanted you weak, confused, doubting yourself, and questioning your worth. But what they didn't realize is that you weren't sent here to be destroyed. You were sent here to expose. You didn't have to seek revenge. You didn't have to fight dirty. All you had to do was exist. And that alone was enough to make their entire world collapse. The power of being chosen is something they will never understand. You don't just live life, you shift the course of reality everywhere you go. You don't even have to lift a finger because karma moves through you effortlessly. The same energy that protects you is the same energy that dismantles those who try to harm you. This is why they fear you. This is why they can't stop watching you, even when they claim they don't care. They are haunted, not by you, but by the weight of their own actions finally turning against them. People talk about karma like it's a slow-moving force, something distant that creeps up over time. But sometimes, karma doesn't wait. Sometimes it arrives wearing human skin, yours. And when it does, it doesn't ask for permission to balance the scales. It simply steps into the room, and everything that was hidden begins to crumble. You were never just another person in their life. You were the test they failed, the truth they ran from, the reckoning they thought would never come. Look around. Notice how their energy has shifted. The arrogance is gone. The confidence they had when they were smearing your name has disappeared. The same people who once stood behind them, now they're backing away, distancing themselves, pretending they were never involved. Because that's how it always happens. When the downfall begins, no one wants to be caught in the wreckage. And the best part? You didn't have to do a thing. No revenge, no petty moves, no effort to tear them down. The universe took care of it for you. Because when someone sinks so low to hurt a chosen one, the damage they cause is never external. It's internal, eating them alive from the inside out. They live in regret, in fear, in shame. They can't even enjoy their so-called wins because they know deep down they lost something they will never get back. And that's peace. So if you've ever felt like your energy shifts rooms, if people either obsess over you or despise you without reason, trust me, it's not random. Your presence alone reveals who people really are, whether they're ready for it or not. And some would rather self-destruct than face the truth that you were the best thing that ever happened to them. Now, they're left to drown in their own exposure, and all you had to do was keep rising. Number 1. They thought no one would ever find out. Now they can't escape the spotlight. A snake will shed its skin, but it's still a snake. The problem is, once the light hits it, everyone finally sees what it really is. They thought they were untouchable. They lied, manipulated and schemed, all while wearing the perfect mask. They walked around with confidence, believing that they had buried the truth so deep that no one would ever find it. They smirked behind closed doors, convinced that their words would never be traced back, that their betrayal would never be exposed, that they could rewrite the story however they pleased. But what happens when the lies unravel? What happens when the same people they fooled start seeing through the illusion? What happens when the world realizes that they weren't as powerful, as righteous, as untouchable as they pretended to be? It always happens the same way. First, they act smug, untouchable. Then, the cracks start forming. The fake confidence turns into paranoia. The rehearsed lies start contradicting themselves. And suddenly, they aren't so bold anymore. The ones who once stood by their side start whispering, questioning, pulling away. And before they even realize it, the same spotlight they used to seek now burns them alive. You've seen it before, how people rise on deception, thinking they're the architects of their own world, only for karma to pull the rug out from under them. Think about the public figures who built entire empires on lies. Lance Armstrong, stripped of his cycling titles when the world found out about his doping. Elizabeth Holmes, who stood in front of investors and claimed to have changed medical science, only to be exposed as a fraud. The truth doesn't care about your status, your reputation, or how long you've gotten away with it. When it comes, it levels everything in its path. And now they're scrambling. You can see it in their body language, the sudden nervousness, the forced smiles, the way their eyes dart around like they're waiting for the next hit. Because the moment one lie collapses, it takes everything else with it. They aren't avoiding you because they don't care. They're avoiding you because you remind them of the truth they tried to bury. And now, with every conversation, every sideways glance, every awkward silence, they realize they didn't bury the truth, they buried themselves. But here's the best part. You don't even have to lift a finger. You don't need to expose them, chase them, or even speak their name. Your existence alone is enough. When you're chosen, you don't have to get revenge. The universe does that for you. Your energy shifts rooms. Your presence alone makes people uncomfortable, not because you've done anything wrong, but because they know deep down they can't lie to you. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem nervous around you? Why someone who once talked so boldly suddenly stutters in your presence? It's not because you intimidate them physically. It's because your energy is too powerful for their deception to survive. The chosen ones aren't loud. They don't need to be. They don't seek validation, don't beg to be believed. They walk with a knowing, and that's what terrifies the ones who built their lives on illusion. That's why, despite their best efforts, they're the ones being watched now. They can't hide anymore. The whispers are growing louder, the side conversations are multiplying, and even the people they trusted most are starting to keep their distance. That's the thing about deceit. It only works until people start asking the right questions. And you never had to do a thing. All you did was exist, move forward, focus on yourself. And yet, here they are, unraveling on their own, haunted by the weight of their own actions. The same people who once looked down on you, talked about you, made you the villain. Now they can't even look you in the eyes. So if you've ever wondered if the truth would ever come out, if justice would ever be served, if people would ever see what you've known all along, trust me, they do. Even the ones who act like they don't know, they know. They see the downfall happening in real time. They see the cracks in the foundation. They see the embarrassment in their eyes, the desperation in their voice. They see it, and they're keeping their distance, because nobody wants to go down with a sinking ship. This is the power of being chosen. You don't just move through life, you shift reality. You alter timelines, you trigger awakenings, force illusions to collapse, and make truth impossible to ignore. That's why some people despise you. That's why they went so hard to break you. Because deep down, they knew if you survived, if you kept going, if you refused to be destroyed, then one day they would have to face the truth. And now, that day has come. Number 2. They painted you as the villain. Now they're living in their own story of betrayal. The loudest liar always plays the victim first. But the truth never rushes. It just waits for the perfect moment to burn them alive. They thought they were clever. They twisted the story, spun the lies, and played the innocent role so well that even they started believing it. You were the problem, they said. You were toxic, difficult, too much. Every time they spoke your name, they dripped poison into the ears of anyone who would listen, carefully crafting a version of events where they were the hero, and you were the villain of their sob story. But here's the thing about lies. They don't age well. At first, they can dress them up, polish them, parade them around like truth. But eventually, time strips them bare, and what's left is nothing but the ugly reality they tried to hide. And now they're the ones drowning in the chaos they created. The same people who once nodded along, who once entertained their deception, are now looking at them sideways, whispering behind their back, realizing that none of it ever added up. Because, let's be real, if every relationship in their life ends in betrayal, who's the common denominator? If they've told the same sob story about 10 different people, at what point do people start realizing that the problem was never you, never anyone else? It was them. It always plays out the same way. At first, they ride the high of being the victim, the attention, the sympathy, the validation. It fuels them. But once the dust settles, once the shock value wears off, people start watching their actions instead of listening to their words. And that's when everything shifts. Because real character isn't in what you say, it's in what you do. And what have they done? Nothing but repeat the same pattern over and over again. The same manipulation, the same mind games, the same drama. One by one, the people who believed them start catching on. They start noticing the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the way the story always changes depending on who they're talking to. And that's when the mask starts to slip. You see, they never expected to be the one betrayed. They thought they could control the narrative forever. But now they're the ones feeling the sting of being abandoned, used, discarded. Because once you build a house out of lies, it's only a matter of time before it collapses on top of you. And when it does, nobody is there to help dig you out. It must be exhausting, living in constant paranoia, wondering who's whispering about them, who's finally connecting the dots, who's seen through the act. The same people they used to turn against you, now they're turning against them. The same tactics they once used to smear your name, now being used to destroy theirs. They thought they were writing the script, but karma came in and flipped the entire storyline. Now they're the villain of their own story, And the worst part, they know it. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to clear your name. Don't have to prove yourself. Don't have to explain. The truth is working on its own. And the best revenge? Your silence, your success, your absolute indifference to their downfall. Because here's the reality. They never really feared you. They feared exposure. They feared the moment when people would finally see them for who they truly are. And now that moment is here. So let them live in the wreckage of their own lies. Let them watch as their carefully built illusion falls apart, brick by brick. And you just keep rising, because in the end, the only thing that ever needed to be done was nothing. Karma doesn't need help. It just needs time. Number 3. They laughed while hurting you. Now they're the ones being mocked. They thought breaking you was entertainment, but the universe has a dark sense of humor. Now the joke is on them. They laughed, not just once, not just in private. They laughed every chance they got. They laughed at your pain, your struggles, your setbacks, your lowest moments. They made jokes out of your hardships, whispered behind your back, and felt a twisted sense of power every time they saw you down. The smirks, the sneers, the eye rolls. You remember them all. They got a high from your suffering, a thrill from thinking they were above you. But life has a funny way of humbling the arrogant, because now they're the ones stumbling. Now they're the ones in the pit. And guess what? The same audience they once entertained with your downfall is now laughing at theirs. They thought they were untouchable. They never imagined that their own karma would hit so publicly, so humiliatingly, so mercilessly. They never thought the same people who cheered them on while they tried to destroy you would ever turn against them. But that's exactly what's happening. The thing about people who thrive on drama, lies, and manipulation, they always overplay their hand. At first, people believed them. They fed into the lies, laughed along, entertained the gossip. But over time, the truth became impossible to ignore. And now, those same people who once gossiped with them are gossiping about them. The whispers, the rumors, the "have you heard what happened to them?" conversations, all about them now. And that's what makes karma so brutal. Not only are they failing, but they're failing in front of an audience. They can't pretend they're winning. They can't fake success. They can't cover up their losses, because everyone sees it. The same energy they put out is now smacking them in the face, and there's nowhere to hide. Their reputation, gone. Their credibility, shattered. And the best part, they know it. That's why they're quiet now. That's why the confidence is gone. The fake smiles look forced. The arrogance has turned into avoidance. Because nothing humbles a fake person faster than watching their own world crumble in public. And let's talk about that. Public humiliation. That's what happens when you build a life on deception. When you think you can harm others with no consequences. It always comes back louder than it started. Look at history. Look at the world. Every fake empire falls. Every fraud is eventually exposed. Every person who thrives off hurting others eventually finds themselves at the bottom. Do you remember how they mocked you? How they acted like they were above you? Like they were winning? Like they had life all figured out while you were struggling? That was the highlight of their life. That was their moment of glory. But what they didn't realize was that moment was the peak. Because while they wasted time laughing at you, tearing you down, running their mouth, you were growing, you were evolving, you were becoming unstoppable. And now the roles have flipped. You're thriving. You've risen from the very place they swore you'd stay stuck in. You outgrew them, outlasted them, And now they have to live with the fact that they wasted their energy on the wrong person. And let's be clear about one thing. This is not about revenge. You didn't wish this on them. You didn't have to. You didn't have to plot or scheme or hope for their downfall. The weight of their own actions did all the work. Because when you build your happiness off of someone else's pain, you set yourself up for destruction. The people who laughed at you, who ridiculed you, who thought your pain was funny, they don't look so happy anymore. Their victories were temporary, built on sand, easily washed away. But yours are permanent, because they were built on truth, on resilience, on actual strength. And here's the real kicker. They can't stand that you don't care, that you don't need to rub it in, that you don't even need to acknowledge their downfall. Because while they're drowning in their own mess, you're out here living your best life, untouched, unbothered, and completely free from their drama. So let them sit in their embarrassment. Let them feel the sting of their own karma. Let them watch as their own energy comes full circle and devours them whole. Because the moment they chose to make your pain their entertainment, they unknowingly signed up for their own downfall. And now the joke's on them. Number 4. They thought they were above consequences. Now they can't run from them. A fool thinks they can outrun their own shadow, but sooner or later the sun shifts, and everything they tried to escape is standing right behind them. They really thought they were special, didn't they? They lied, manipulated, betrayed, stepping over people like pawns in their little game, fully convinced that the rules didn't apply to them. They laughed while they played dirty, certain that karma was just a fairy tale, that consequences were something meant for other people, never for them. They moved through life like they were untouchable, convincing themselves that their charm, their deception, their ability to talk their way out of anything would always keep them one step ahead. But here's what they never understood. No one escapes the truth forever. You can fool people for a while, you can run from reality, you can cover your tracks, but you can't hide from the energy you put into the world. And now their house of cards is collapsing, and the very same power they thought they had is turning against them. Look around. Notice how their energy has shifted. The arrogance is gone. The confidence they once had, the same confidence they used to mock you, to manipulate situations in their favor, to act like they were untouchable, it's disappeared. They're quieter now, more cautious, more paranoid. Why? Because they know. They know they're being watched, judged, talked about. They can feel the weight of everything they did closing in. And the worst part, there's no one left to save them. The same people they used to laugh with, to gossip with, to plot against you with, gone. Because that's the thing about people like them. Loyalty only exists when it's convenient. The moment their ship starts sinking, everybody jumps off. The moment their lies get too heavy to carry, the same people who once protected them suddenly don't remember their name. It's funny, isn't it? They spent so much time making sure you looked like the villain, so much time manipulating situations, making sure people saw them as the victim, painting themselves as the good one, the innocent one. But now, they're living in their own destruction. Now, they're the ones who can't escape the whispers, the side glances, the judgment. Now, they're realizing that no matter how fast you run, you can't outrun your own reflection. Because the truth? It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need people to believe it right away. It just waits. It waits for the perfect moment to shatter every illusion, every lie, every mask they ever wore. And now, that moment has arrived. Have you ever noticed how they act different now? How the people who once had so much to say about you suddenly have nothing to say at all. How they used to walk around with their head high, but now they can't even make eye contact. That's what guilt looks like. That's what realization feels like. That's what happens when someone finally understands that they were never as invincible as they thought. Because the problem with running from consequences is simple. You can only run for so long before you trip over your own lies. And once you fall, once you hit the ground, there's no getting back up. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to clear your name. Don't have to expose them. Don't have to chase any form of justice. The universe is already handling it. The same games they played, the same manipulation they used, the same lies they built their life on. It's all coming back to them, piece by piece, day by day. And you just keep rising. Because that's the difference between them and you. They built their world on illusions. You built yours on truth. They relied on deception, on trickery, on carefully crafted personas. You relied on strength, on resilience, on real power. And now the difference is undeniable. They thought they were above consequences. Now they wake up every day realizing that they aren't. And that's a nightmare they'll never escape. Number 5. They made you look bad to cover their sins. Now the mirror is on them. A liar can only lie for so long before the weight of their own deception breaks them. They thought they were smart. They pointed fingers at you, loud enough, often enough, hoping no one would ever turn around and look at them. They acted like they were pure, righteous, untouchable, while dragging your name through the dirt just to keep the spotlight off their own sins. They threw accusations so recklessly, convinced that if they painted you as the villain, no one would ever stop to question their story. But the thing about mirrors? They don't lie. And sooner or later, everyone is forced to face their own reflection. Now, that same mirror they tried to avoid is standing right in front of them, and there's no more running, no more shifting blame, no more twisting the story. It's their turn to be judged, and the world is finally watching. They thought that if they could make you look bad enough, people would never ask the right questions. They hoped that by distracting the world with your so-called flaws, no one would notice the filth they were hiding in their own soul. They needed you to be the scapegoat, because deep down, they knew they were guilty. They knew that if the truth ever surfaced, if anyone ever took a closer look, they wouldn't just lose people's respect. They would lose everything. So they did what cowards always do. They built their innocence on your destruction. They whispered behind your back, twisting stories, exaggerating situations, turning people against you before you even knew what was happening. And when you tried to defend yourself, that was proof in their mind that you were guilty. When you walked away, refused to engage, refused to play their game, they took that as another opportunity to smear your name, claiming your silence was admission. But now they are choking on the very lies they created. The same people who once nodded along to their stories are rethinking every word. The same ones who once judged you are starting to notice the patterns, the contradictions, the holes in their perfect little script. Because deception is never sustainable, at some point it always collapses under its own weight. Have you ever wondered why they look so uncomfortable around you now? Why they seem to be avoiding certain conversations, dodging certain people, acting defensive even when no one is accusing them of anything? It's because deep down, they feel the walls closing in. They feel the whispers turning against them. They feel the truth creeping up behind them like a shadow they can't escape. They were so busy making sure you looked bad that they never stopped to think about what would happen when the script flipped. And now, the same energy they put out is circling back to them, magnified. The spotlight they used to shine on you? Now, it's stuck on them, and there's no escaping the heat. Look around. Watch how their relationships start falling apart, how their closest allies start stepping back, how the people who once defended them now seem hesitant. You don't have to say a word. Their actions are exposing them better than you ever could. It must be exhausting, constantly living in fear that the truth will come out, having to keep track of every lie, every false narrative, every time they manipulated someone into believing their version of events. This is why they look drained, why their energy is restless, why their life feels like it's unraveling, because keeping up a facade is harder than just living in the truth. And you don't have to do anything. You never needed revenge. You never needed to prove yourself. The truth was always enough, and now it's speaking louder than anything they could ever say. This is why being chosen is both a blessing and a burden. Your presence alone forces people to confront themselves, whether they want to or not. Some people are inspired by that, and others, they fight it with everything they have. They would rather destroy you than face their own reflection. But the thing about reflections, they never go away. So now, let them sit in the mess they made. Let them wrestle with the shame, the regret, the realization that everything they tried to project onto you was just a reflection of themselves. Let them experience what it's like to be the one judged, the one doubted, the one people whisper about behind closed doors. Because when the truth finally hits, it doesn't tap on the shoulder. It crashes down like a wrecking ball. And now, they are the ones standing in the rubble, wondering how they got there. You don't need to watch. You don't need to react. You just need to keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, the truth will always clear the path for the chosen. And them, they will always be stuck in the wreckage of their own deceit. Number 6. They went too far. Now even their supporters are backing away. Lies can build an army, but truth will always cause a mutiny. At first, they had people eating out of the palm of their hand. Their lies were smooth, their manipulation flawless. They convinced everyone they were the victim, the hero, the righteous one. They gathered support, turned people against you and soaked up the attention like it was their lifeline. And for a while, it worked. People defended them, stood by their side, believed every twisted version of the story they told. But the thing about deception, it has an expiration date. It might taste sweet at first, but eventually it turns bitter. And now, even the ones who once swore they had their back are walking away, because the truth has finally started to show. You see, at the beginning, their supporters didn't know better. They only knew what they were told, and they never thought to question it. They played their role, defending them, fighting their battles, standing against you like soldiers for a cause they didn't even understand. But the problem with standing too close to a liar, eventually you get burned too. The cracks started small, little inconsistencies, a slip-up here, a contradiction there. But then, those small cracks, they turned into gaping holes. People started noticing the patterns. The drama never stopped. The victim act never ended. The blame was always on someone else. And that's when the whispers began. If they were really the innocent one, why does this keep happening? Why is there always a new enemy? Why do people keep leaving? And then, one by one, the exits started. The same people who once fought for them are now quietly distancing themselves, not because they suddenly grew a conscience, but because self-preservation kicks in when a sinking ship starts going under. Nobody wants to be dragged down with them. Think about history. How many powerful figures built empires on deception, only to be abandoned when the truth came out? Look at Bernie Madoff, who ran the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. His clients swore by him, defended him, even called him a financial genius. But the second his fraud was exposed, they vanished. Even the people closest to him cut ties, because loyalty only lasts as long as the illusion holds up. And that's exactly what's happening now. They pushed too far, lied too much, went after the wrong person, and now the very people who once sang their praises won't even return their calls. It's a special kind of karma, watching their own army retreat, leaving them defenseless. And here's the best part. They're furious about it. They thought their lies would carry them forever, but now they're scrambling, panicking, looking for someone to blame. At first, they pointed fingers at you, but now that doesn't work anymore. So they turn on the very people who once stood with them. You were supposed to be loyal. You're turning against me too? I thought we were in this together. No, they weren't in it together. They were just fooled, just like everyone else. And now that they see the truth, they want nothing to do with it. Ever wonder why they're suddenly so quiet? Why the people who once defended them so aggressively have now disappeared? It's because even they don't want to be associated with the disaster that's unfolding. Because this isn't just about loyalty, it's about reputation and being tied to someone who got caught, got exposed, lost their credibility. That's bad for business, bad for image, bad for the future. They thought they could manipulate forever, but no one wants to be friends with someone who's drowning in their own lies. No one wants to risk their own reputation defending a fraud. And no one, not even their most loyal enablers, wants to go down with them. So now they stand alone. The people who once cheered for them are now silent. The crowd that used to defend them has vanished. And you never had to say a word, because this was always going to happen. Lies have a shelf life, and theirs just expired. Number 7. They're watching you rise while they sink. They threw dirt on your name, hoping you'd stay buried. But they forgot. Seeds grow in the dark. They tried everything to break you. They lied. They sabotaged. They whispered behind your back, hoping to see you fall. They drained their energy trying to stop you, obsessed over tearing you down, convinced that if they threw enough obstacles in your way, you'd eventually crumble. But now they're the ones stuck in the same miserable cycle while you keep rising. It must eat them alive to see you glowing, thriving, moving forward while they're still trapped in the mess they created. They wanted to see you struggle, but instead, you became stronger. They wanted to see you fail, but instead, you built something unstoppable. And the worst part for them, they have to watch. See, the thing about chosen ones is that no matter what people do to us, we don't stay down. They can steal, lie, cheat, betray, but nothing they do can take away what's meant for you. They thought they were controlling the story, but all they did was push you toward your highest version. Have you ever noticed how they still watch you, even after all this time? How they stalk your moves, lurking in the shadows, trying to figure out how you're still standing. That's because they need to see if their damage worked. And when they realize it didn't, that's when the real punishment begins. Because now they're forced to sit in their own failure while you continue to elevate. The same ones who once laughed at you are now choking on their own arrogance. The same ones who thought you wouldn't make it? Now they're scrambling to keep up. And the irony? They can't even enjoy their own lives because they're too busy watching yours. They wanted to break you, but all they did was teach you how to survive. They wanted to see you destroyed, but instead, you built yourself into something even greater. And now, every success you have is a reminder of their own mediocrity. Every time you level up, they feel the weight of their own failures pressing down on them. Because while you were working on yourself, they were too busy obsessing over your downfall. While you were healing, growing, and moving forward, they were wasting their energy plotting against someone they could never defeat. And now they're the ones stuck in the same misery they wished on you. Look at them, miserable, bitter, suffocating under the weight of their own choices. They spent so much time trying to stop you that they forgot to build anything for themselves. And now they're watching you live the life they secretly wanted for themselves. Because let's be real, half the time, the ones who hate you the most are the ones who wish they could be you. They never hated you. They hated your strength, your resilience, your ability to keep going despite everything they threw at you. They hated that no matter how many times they tried to destroy you, you refused to break. And that's why they're stuck while you continue to rise. Success is your best revenge, not because you need to prove anything, but because it forces them to sit with the reality that they lost. They lost the moment they decided to go against you. They lost the moment they thought they could stop what was divinely meant for you. And the best part, you don't even care. You're too busy winning, evolving, leveling up. You're too focused on your purpose to even notice their downfall. And that burns them more than anything. Because they thought they were the main character. They thought they controlled the ending. But in the end, all they did was give you the fire you needed to become unstoppable. So let them watch. Let them seethe in their own bitterness. Let them sit in the mess they created for themselves. You just keep winning. Because at this point, their suffering isn't even your concern anymore. They wrote you off. Now they have to live with the regret of ever doubting you. Number 8. They wanted to be in control. Now they're the one being talked about. The puppet master never expects to become the puppet. But when the strings snap, they realize no one was ever truly dancing for them. They were just playing themselves the entire time. They thought they had control. They whispered your name in rooms you weren't in, spread rumors with a smirk, and manipulated people like chess pieces, thinking they were untouchable. They had the perfect setup, convincing others to see you the way they wanted, twisting the narrative so that you were the problem while they sat back, watching the damage unfold. But the universe doesn't work like that. When you build a foundation out of lies, it doesn't take long for the ground to crack beneath your feet. And now they're the ones under the microscope, their name rolling off tongues in hushed whispers, their reputation in free fall. The same people they once controlled. They've turned, watching, questioning, piecing together the truth that was always there. You see, power built on deception is temporary. They lived for attention, for dominance, for the ability to control the narrative. But the same way they weaponized gossip against you, it's now slicing through them like a blade. The tables have flipped, and they're learning. The moment you try to control people with lies, you become a prisoner of your own story. Because now, no matter where they go, they can feel it. The tension, the doubt. The way people look at them just a second too long before glancing away. Ever notice how the loudest voices in the room always have the most to hide? They talk, they manipulate, they act as if they're running the show, until the audience stops clapping. And that's exactly what's happening now. The same people they once rallied against you, they're watching them with suspicion, replaying every conversation, realizing just how much of it never made sense. Because at the end of the day, you can only fake authenticity for so long. They thought if they talked enough, spread enough misinformation, painted themselves as the hero, they could control perception forever. But what they didn't anticipate was people waking up. They didn't expect the moment when their own actions would betray them. And now, they're scrambling, watching the empire they built on lies crumble in real time. You don't even have to say a word. Your silence speaks louder than any of their accusations ever could. They wanted a reaction. They wanted you to fight, to engage, to prove them right by getting defensive. But instead, you let the truth do what it always does, work on its own. And now they're left standing in the wreckage, trying to figure out how the hunter became the hunted. Think about how many times you sat there, knowing what they were doing, watching them twist reality, feeling the weight of their manipulation. And now they feel it. The very tactics they used to control others have backfired, and they don't know how to stop it. Because the truth is, once people see through you, there's no going back. Look at history. Every so-called mastermind who built their success on deceit eventually watched it fall apart. Bernie Madoff, the financial con artist, thought he could run the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, until his empire collapsed, leaving him a cautionary tale. Elizabeth Holmes crafted an entire tech empire on deception, until the truth stripped her of everything. It happens every time. Those who think they can manipulate forever always forget one thing: control is an illusion. And now they are living in the same paranoia they once inflicted on others. Every room they walk into, they wonder, what do they know? What have they heard? Who's talking about me now? And the best part, they know exactly how it feels, because they designed this game. They just never thought they'd be the one losing. They're desperate now, trying to regain the power they once had. But it's too late. People have seen too much, heard too much, connected too many dots. Their credibility is rotting in plain sight. They thought they were in control, but control was never real. It was borrowed. And now the debt is being collected. This is what happens when you live for manipulation. Eventually, you become the one being manipulated. When you thrive off of lies, eventually you drown in them. And when you play the game of controlling people, eventually the people turn against you. So let them panic. Let them wonder. Let them feel the weight of their own actions pressing down on them, because they're not running the show anymore. They are the show. And trust me, the audience isn't clapping. Number 9. They're losing sleep over what they did to you. The worst punishment isn't losing money, status, or even reputation. It's being trapped inside your own mind with the weight of what you've done. They thought it was over. They thought they got away with it. They smirked while they betrayed you, laughed while they spread lies, walked away without a second thought, as if their actions wouldn't follow them, as if the universe wasn't watching, as if their choices wouldn't come back to haunt them. But now, they're restless. They toss and turn at night, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling as the weight of what they did presses down on them like a cinder block. They feel it creeping up on them, the guilt, the regret, the inescapable truth. They tell themselves it's not real, that they're fine, that nobody knows. But that's the thing about guilt. It doesn't care if you ignore it. It doesn't need an audience to perform. It just sits there, in the quiet, eating them alive from the inside out. They see your face in their mind, even when they don't want to. It doesn't matter where they go, who they're with, or how much they try to distract themselves. Your presence haunts them. They hear your voice in conversations that have nothing to do with you. They look over their shoulder, not because they fear you, but because they fear the truth slipping through the cracks. They wonder, who else knows? Who else sees them for what they are? Who else has finally figured out the person behind the mask? And the best part, they did this to themselves. Nobody forced them to betray you. Nobody held a gun to their head and made them lie, cheat, or manipulate. They made their choices freely. And now they're stuck with them. They thought they were playing a game, but all they did was set themselves up to lose. This is why they can't relax, because they know, deep down, they failed the test. They were given a chance to move with integrity, to be loyal, to be real, and they failed, miserably. And once you fail a test like that, there's no retaking it. There's no undoing the moment they chose deception over honesty, selfishness over loyalty, betrayal over love. You might not see their downfall happening, but trust me, it's already begun. It starts slow at first. Small things begin to unravel. Their friendships feel hollow. Their relationships start to deteriorate. Their luck seems to shift, like the universe itself has turned its back on them. And no matter how much they try to act normal, no matter how much they pretend they're fine, they can feel it. The emptiness creeping in, the paranoia setting up camp inside their mind. They see you thriving, and it burns them. Not because they hate you, no, it's worse than that. Because they know that they could have been standing next to you, growing with you, rising with you, but instead they threw it all away for temporary satisfaction, for a fleeting ego boost, for a moment of control. And now they have to live with that choice. Because here's the thing, you don't have to chase revenge when the universe is already handling it. You don't have to do anything. Their own conscience is punishing them more than you ever could. Every betrayal comes with a price, and they're paying in ways they never expected. Their mind won't let them rest. Their spirit won't let them breathe. Their actions have become their own worst enemy. Look at their eyes next time you see them. They look tired, don't they? The same person who once looked so confident, so in control, now carries the weight of their own deception. They're drained, exhausted, spiritually bankrupt. And no matter how much they fake a smile, you know the truth. This is what happens when you cross someone who was never meant to be betrayed. When you wrong a chosen one, you don't just lose them, you lose yourself. Because now they can't even trust their own mind. Every time something goes wrong in their life, they wonder, is this because of what I did? Is this karma? They're scared, and they should be, because when you play dirty, you never win. And you're free. You're sleeping just fine, unbothered, unshaken, because the pain they tried to put on you was never yours to carry. You walked away with your integrity, with your peace, with your soul intact. And them, they're left alone with the one thing they can't escape, themselves. Number 10. They thought you would never recover. Now you're stronger than ever. The real revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's living so far above their reach that they become nothing more than a forgotten chapter in your success story. They thought they broke you. They stood over you, convinced you'd never rise again. They whispered about your downfall, smirked at your struggle, and convinced themselves that they had won. In their mind, your story ended the day they betrayed you, abandoned you, underestimated you. They believed that without them, without their validation, their approval, their acceptance, you'd be nothing. But now you walk through the world untouchable, unshaken, unstoppable. The pain that was supposed to break you, it built you. The betrayals that were supposed to weaken you, they sharpened your instincts, made you wiser, made you see through every deception. And the heartbreak? It didn't make you bitter. It made you bulletproof. Look at you now. The person they once mocked, doubted and discarded is thriving, Not just surviving, not just getting by, but flourishing in a way they never saw coming. And that's what haunts them. Not that you moved on, but that you moved up. It must be sickening for them to watch, to see you glow while they decay, to see you winning while they're still playing the same tired games with different people, hoping for a different outcome, to see the person they counted out become the one they can't stop checking up on. Because let's be honest, they still watch. They still ask about you, still stalk your progress from the shadows, still wonder how the hell you became everything they swore you'd never be. They don't hate you because you failed. They hate you because you didn't. They expected you to fold under pressure, to crumble under rejection, to stay stuck in the pain they caused. But instead, every loss they thought would destroy you became fuel for your evolution. You took the betrayal, the disappointment, the setbacks, and you turned them into power. Think about every legend, every icon, every person who changed the game. They were all underestimated at some point. Oprah was fired from her first television job, told she wasn't fit for TV. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. The pattern is always the same. Greatness is born from adversity. And you are no different. You took everything they threw at you and turned it into something untouchable. Every time they laughed, doubted, and dismissed you, you silently built yourself into a force they can't compete with. You stopped seeking approval, stopped explaining yourself, stopped playing small just to make others comfortable. Now, you move differently because you finally know your own power. But the best part, you didn't just rise, you rose without them. That's what really eats at them. They wanted to be the main character in your story, but now, they're nothing more than a forgotten extra, while they sit in the same place, with the same mindset, playing the same tired games. You've outgrown them in every way possible. They still tell themselves that you'll fall, that you'll come crawling back, that your success is temporary. But deep down, they know the truth. They know that no matter how much they talk, how much they try to discredit you, they will never be able to deny your evolution. And that burns. Because the truth is, they needed you more than you ever needed them. They thrived off your energy, your kindness, your light. They mistook your loyalty for weakness, your love for dependency, your kindness for naivete. They thought they could break you because they never understood what you were truly made of. But now they know. Now they see that nothing they did was enough to stop you. Now they realize that they weren't your loss. You were theirs. And you don't even think about them anymore, because that's the true victory. Not just moving on, but moving up so high that their memory becomes irrelevant. So let them wonder, let them regret, let them sit in the mess they created. You have no time to look back. You're too busy building an empire from the ashes they left behind. And that's what real power looks like. So listen, chosen ones. A fire doesn't lose its power just because the wrong people couldn't handle the heat. You didn't lose anything, you just shed dead weight. The betrayals, the lies, the setbacks, they weren't your downfall, they were your purification. Your energy is too powerful to be destroyed, too rare to be wasted, too divine to be dimmed. The universe didn't take anything from you. It cleared space for something greater. If you've ever watched karma expose the truth, drop the number 77 in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this with another chosen one, because the awakened are finding each other, and together we rise.